Hey, you folks, it's Robin Robbins, founder of TMT. I am super excited. I've got Nat Kemberling here. He is the CEO, founder of Broco Tech. He is one of the Better Your Best finalists for this year's boot camp, which is a tremendous accomplishment. We had, I can't remember, I think we had over like 50 or 60 people who applied, and these are our Producers Club members. So these are not small, weak, no growth MSPs. I mean, these are folks that are really gunning for growth. So, congratulations, Nat, on being able to get into the to that group. And tell everybody, just give us a little bit about your MSP, who you are, where you're located, clients, whatever you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Nat Kemberling. We run a company called Broco. We're based in the Houston area of Texas. We're actually right across the street from NASA, and we're on NASA Parkway. So it's it's a wonderful area to be in Houston because just a lot of business is already here. So there's customers aplenty, and while there are a lot of managed services clients, managed service companies in our area, we barely run into them. It's unbelievable. So it's funny how that is. It's just such a large market. So it's a fun place to be. We started the business in 2019. And really, 2019 was really a planning year for us. That year, we really decided we're going to kick it all off on 2020. And I don't know if everybody remembers in March of 2020 what it was
I
like.
remember a little
But
bit
now
happening.
that there's
Yeah,
this
yeah.
whole thing called COVID, and it really, as a company starting with almost no customers, it was really hard to acquire new customers during that time. So we struggled through the first 2020 into 2021 and really started seeing some upward growth. And as we've presented in our numbers, really just going up to 3.4 million last year is really exciting for us.
And it's phenomenal. You just really should know that because first of all, I know that there's MSPs I've talked to who've been in business for 30 years and are nowhere near where you are. In fact, like our anecdotal, I say anecdotal because we survey MSPs and they're reporting this. So, we're not looking at their financials and verifying them, but 79% are never even breaking the $1 million mark, even after 20, 30 years, right? So
Right.
there's that. And then having that that disaster of COVID to happen,
Yeah.
like when you're trying to start up. I mean, unbelievable. And it's just, last year, 85,000 in MRR to 180,000. Top line 2.3 to 3.4. I know you're gunning for five, and I'm confident like you're going to hit it. That's 800% growth. I, you got to tell me, like, how were you able to do that growth? I mean, you must see other MSPs, right? And they're not
Right.
growing. Like, what did you do different than all the others that aren't ever getting past the $1 million mark after 30 years?
Yeah. So I think, one of it is lessons learned from life, right? I think, I had a previous company. I was really chief technology officer of that company. I did not drive the sales and marketing at all. And we invented really cool stuff, really great stuff, great for customers. But there became a realization if you couldn't sell it, it didn't matter what you made. It didn't matter how good your product was. It didn't matter any of it. None of it mattered if you couldn't sell it. And, our focus was really building around how do we make it so that we are creating a sales engine towards getting to these people. And if you're doing sales in any way, shape, or form, marketing is part of it, right? So really, we from day one, when I go back to 2020, I was taking no paycheck that time. Some of the other owners were taking no paychecks also at that time, but we were paying for a full-time salesperson. And he's the one that introduced us to Robin, to you. I mean,
Okay.
that's kind of the trajectory that took us to you. And it was really, we wanted to continue. So I guess from the onset, we always focused on it. And then it was really just, how do we use the Robin Robbins toolkit to really just make ourselves grow quicker and make ourselves more focused when it comes to presentations, to how we deliver everything we deliver, right? So, I mean, I think we use the aspirin campaign from day one. and we failed drastically at it. I mean,
Well, that's encouraging.
well, it wasn't your fault. So it was really
No,
more,
I mean,
more a testament to
anyone
this.
can tell.
Hey, we got 100 letters out. I'm going to tell you, for months and months. You know how many phone calls we made? Like about 5 or 10% of those max, right? Okay. So just, you know, we were working on the first part of the recipe, but we didn't get the full thing put together, right? We're like, okay, we have part of it, and then we kept getting better. And I think that's part of the thing too, is we just kept pushing and trying to make sure everything we did. I mean, I'll tell you, I talked to the marketing here internally, and I'm like, you guys, we just need to do it. I'm like, you might want to do it a little different, but we're just going to do it. And then as we see us doing it successfully, we can then look to change and tweak and improve it once we're doing it every day correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the 5-year plan for success, right? I mean, I was just talking to one of the other Better Your Best finalists, and it's Mike and Hunter Farlow. And he's, I asked him, he said, I think the thing is just consistency. We started doing things and we kept doing these things over and over and over again for a couple of years. Like, it's just list building and building awareness, your systems and it just takes time. And I know everybody wants that 5-day plan. Like, give me, all right, 5 months. Give me 5 months, not 5 years, And, so that's phenomenal. I love that. I think it's just, what I'm hearing from you is, hiring a salesperson shows me, I think, your mindset. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the guy said, if you had to start your business over today, who would be your first hire? And he had the audience give different, so it was like a YouTube video, maybe not a podcast, but the audience gave answers. And he said, I can tell the maturity of your business based on who you say your first hire is going to be, or your maturity as you as an entrepreneur. So the fact that one of your first hires is like, hey, I need a salesperson, which is the same thing David Java did, as a previous Better Your Best winner.
Absolutely.
That's what he did, took a loan out to hire salespeople. So, so that kind of focus, I know that we'll look at your essay. You did a ton of things. Like, it wasn't just one thing. But,
absolutely.
Yeah. What would you say, like, was there any particular campaign or approach or mindset that really, or maybe there's a couple things that really moved the needle for you?
I would say just the holistic mindset and approach of, like, we're going to go out and we're going to try to sell and market correctly, right? Everything we did was influenced by your program, Robin. Just in all fairness, from our pricing strategy with Crabtree, listening to just other Better Your Best finalists and what they've done, really, the shock and awe, trying to make sure that we do a great job of our shock and awe and make it something very good and very professional and really present extremely well. And, all of those things were in tune and aligned, what I would say, with you and your systems, right? So while I don't know that there's one like silver bullet per se to it all, I do know that strategically you have to go and do it and have a mindset of doing it. I'll go back to like early 2020 before we I think joined you guys at the end of 2020, early 2021. At this time, we're like almost just about a year old, right? Still in diapers. And, and we were like, oh, let's hire a marketing firm to go do this stuff for us. We know we need it. We know we have to have it, but like, how do we get it? We don't have time to do it all. And so we really decided so we tried that and it didn't work. It didn't help. It was COVID too. So, maybe it would have worked better, but it didn't really work. And really until we started bringing it in-house holistically, living and breathing, we are using the Robin Robbins toolkit to do everything we wanted to do. We were just toolkit back in the day. My team went to the boot camp in Florida. I think you guys had one.
Yeah, that was in 2021 because 2020 we did virtual because we were shut down like a couple weeks before our event. So we had to, and we didn't know if we could have it in Nashville because like all it like here in Williamson County, we could have the event, but there wasn't a venue big enough, right? But
Right.
in the city, the mayor's like, we're still shutting everything down. And so we're like, shoot, we didn't know if he was going to open up. So we knew Florida was open. So we're like, all right, move it to Florida. And we're lucky to find a hotel available. It's just crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Crazy year.
Yeah. So my team went to that year, and then they came back and were like, wow, this Better Your Best thing. People are on stage. This is super cool. People are winning cars. And I mean, we were still like nobody. I mean, we very low revenue at this point, still in our career, but we all had that mindset that sales and marketing was very much key. And I just also want to make sure this is a team effort. Everybody on our team has that same mindset. And I think that's been also one of the things that's propelled us to go faster than the average MSP.
I love that. Yeah. Because like the campaigns, like, when I started my program, the reason for the toolkit, just a little history lesson is I worked for marketing and advertising firms, and like they would do a lot of custom work and whatnot. And when I decided to pick a niche, I knew to scale if I could pick a niche and a vertical and specialize and work with smaller at the time VAR more than MSP, right? MSP was just getting started. I thought if I could give them this toolkit of templates and systems and processes, cut and paste, kind of make it very formulaic, like a franchise marketing system. I was like, they could scale. And for years, I would perfect it a little more detail. Like, let's tell them exactly when to send the email and how to send the email. Well, not just vague generalities, thinking that the more granular I'd make it, the better the results people would get. And what's with Nat, which is really goes to what you're saying. If the person is just not in the mindset of growth and will do it, it doesn't matter how granular, what blueprints, what recipes I give them, no matter how proven, they won't execute it, or they won't put the effort into really, because you got to perfect these things. It takes time, right, to learn it. And so,
it takes a ton of time. It amazes me. I mean, we had the crappiest printer when we first started. Like, oh my God, we got to print all of these letters, get them out, send them. Like, okay, maybe we should buy a better printer now. I mean, these are the things you deal with. By the way, all of my printing, it goes straight to advertising as far as my P&L goes, because that's the reason we have that printer, is for advertising.
So hey, I do want to ask you about something, because I know on stage in your entry package you're going to have more details on what you did, how you did it. On stage you're going to talk about. But one thing is really curious. You went to the Small Business Administration, and it sounds like you were very focused on who you wanted to target. Is that right? Is that what started your list?
So, we came to realize as we've been, as we started landing more and more customers, we started analyzing, okay, who are our customers, and why would this customer be willing to spend, call it $200 a month for 30 people, whereas another customer complains about $50 a month, right? And we're like, okay, so, one key thing is the customer A, if all of their computers go down, they can still operate and do their business. They're in some sort of manufacturing or something like that, or they do their construction or something like that, right? So, if my computer doesn't work, is it a huge deal to the operations of my company? Where we found companies that if their computers don't work, they're losing money day one. Those people were more apt to do those type of things. Mm-hmm. So the key, so that was the driving force to look at SBA data. And then we were able to take the SBA data, and then they have total payroll numbers and they had total employee counts. And my thought was, hey, what if we just take the average of what the payroll amount of people and the count and how much money they spent on payroll, and we kind of got an average of $50,000 an employee. If they're spending money on their employees, the likelihood that they want that person to be successful is far higher, right? So, like, to give you an example, hotel industry and stuff like that, it's like $13,000 an employee average.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Super low. You're like, do I really want? It's probably not at least it's not low hanging fruit, right? I'm not saying that there aren't absolute areas that you can't be in, but the vast majority of their employees don't use a computer probably every day of their week, right?
Yeah, right.
So, and that was really, that's what drove our focus. Oil and gas in the state of Texas is obviously number one. So, those things point you towards, hey, let's focus on these markets. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, I think it's really smart. Like it's very strategic in thinking about who your customer is. Because when I ask most MSPs, they'll say, well, anybody with a computer, anyone with 10 to 100 PCs in a 20-mile radius, they don't really think about being very strategic about targeting, right? And I love that. I read that in your essay, and I really encourage everyone else to read that in the essay because you get into more detail on it, and so I encourage that. But I just wanted to bring that out. Now, you came to boot camp in 2021, and so you've been to a couple, right? So what would you say? Yeah. So why should somebody, if someone's kind of on the fence, go, man, maybe I'll just watch it virtually. Maybe I'll just skip this year. Why would you say, hey, you got to come to boot camp?
Well, I mean, I don't think, at a certain point in your career, in any business, you can't learn enough from a book or a website or stuff like that. You really need to be at the industry events, and the industry events is where you're going to really get information that's above and beyond. You get to interact with other people. You get to have conversations with them. I've always said, hanging out in the bars where I've gotten some of the best information, just talking to other people, and had my biggest successes, just learning things. Right. So, I think you have to be at events. I think, your event's actually just an amazing event, really great amount of information there. Obviously, we're always trying to be sold to the whole time. But it is part of the nature of those events. But you can't learn about new products unless you're there, because that's where the cutting edge stuff is happening. And you need to be there if you want to get access to that information.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you get to an event I've even heard people say the vendors in the hallway, learning about new technology, new options, new things. Like you said, hey, you're being sold to. There's I think this year we have about 98 vendors. And it's like, they're all in the hallway and stuff. I mean, you can head down and not look at them or whatever. Good luck.
Right.
But there is still a lot of industry knowledge out there. Tell me about what other MSPs are doing and charging and how are they using this. And you learn about, like you said, just the hallway conversations. Like a book is great and definitely read books, but I agree with you. Some of the biggest breakthroughs I've had is just interacting and having conversations, just even casual conversations with people
right.
at events, because I think you're out of your work mode. Your mind's a little more open, relaxed. There's an energizing factor to it. And the thing I think is, there's whatever problem you're dealing with, I guarantee you there's somebody at that event who's been there, done that, probably learn from them.
Yeah. And I think honestly, that's the biggest value, is that you get to talk directly to people that understand what you're dealing with. And it's just, you're shortcutting everything. So the challenge with going online and going to Reddit and going all this, it's a zillion opinions of people are they trustworthy? I don't know. At least at your event, I'm talking to somebody that I know has been successful. I know they've done the right things, and it's trust, right? I guess is what it comes down to at the end of the day. And there's a higher level of trust with the information that you get.
Yeah, that's very key. So, all right, Nat, you're going to be just telling your story in front of right now we're over 1,500 registered. That's not including the virtual. So don't be nervous or anything, but
it's all good.
We'll be looking forward to hearing your story at boot camp. I know the audience is going to love what you have to share with them. Guys, make sure you also download all of these essays because they really get into detail. So Nat, thank you so much, and I'll see you at boot camp.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Robin. I appreciate it.